to know. We are live, everyone. We are live on Facebook. I didn't go Instagram this time. I went Facebook, YouTube, and of course, our favorite, Home Away from Home X. A lot of noise, a lot of chatter. I want to thank the Shorts for giving me a free gift this morning. I got AQST at like 593. At one point, 587. I think it's
What?
come up at 589,
That is
587.
crazy. I had no idea it dropped down.
And then it
Okay.
closed to yeah, I'm gonna go to my Robinhood right now. But
That
welcome,
is
Biotech
crazy.
Scanner.
Well, thank you for having me, Dan. When I tweeted it out, it was 593. And that was the last that I checked the price
Yeah.
until after the close because I was kind of busy today.
Well, I was
Because
joking with my stock twits buddies, and I say that in a loving way. Some of them are cool. 626 after hour. I bought it this morning. I woke up, I saw this thing's down. Yeah, I bought 500 shares at 589 and 1,000 shares at 593 today.
that is crazy. So I had no idea when it dropped or whatever. Because, I mean,
It closed 623. Thank you for the gift, guys. Like
yeah,
every day, if we can do that, if we can get all the shorts to do this every day until PDUFA, give us a free gift.
well, at some point, at some point, investors going to have to make these shorts feel the heat because the last thing, and I tweeted this out, the last thing that they wanted is to have a run up closer to the date. I think that's going to happen because what happened is they are counting on just working really hard, spreading FUD, and then the price will remain low all the way to PDUFA. That's what they want. That's what they dream of happening. But if there are smart investors who realize this is a really amazing opportunity for 2026, this is the simplest drug they could ever understand for the rest of the year. If you compare it with all the PDUFA, all of the clinical trials in all of the biotech, Anafilm is the easiest drug. It's one simple molecule to understand, you know? So uh, it, uh, it is an amazing opportunity. And then, so what happened is when shorts feeling the heat and seeing the run up, they are then forced to decide, am I going to risk losing more or do I need to start returning and buying shares?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
right now, they are still pretty brazen. They're still spreading FUD, making noise. But one of these evening when we go to bed and wake up in the morning, there'll be a PR with the company talking about labeling and interactions with the FDA. That, my friend, is going to be fun. Um,
Yeah.
but today, I tweeted this out earlier about this call. And so there are 9 items I want to address, Dan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we're gonna go
Uh,
in order, even though I'm like excited as hell for one of them in particular.
yep.
And
But
only because that's the one that's newest news to me.
yeah,
But we have people, some watching brand new. I just finished the
yep.
podcast. He lives an hour from the headquarter of Aquestive. He got
Really,
curious. What is this? I said, watch our live stream. It's been 12 minutes, man. I'll send you the link.
dude.
So shout out to
So
Faisal.
for people like that, I think it's great to go the order that I kind of set
Yes,
out.
yes. We have to
So
respect it because this month people are coming in. They're newbies. I see it on the board.
yep,
That's why I started writing those articles on Substack. So go subscribe to my Substack too. It's free. I'm not trying to make money off of that. I just
yep.
want to. I'm thinking out loud on that thing and doing my own due diligence. And the same shout out to Biotech Scanner. Doesn't charge for his post. I know you had some heated words for some people that are influencers trying to charge. I tend to be weary of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like, okay, pay me. I will buy the stock before you do, and then you buy, and then I'll make some money off of that when the stock run up.
Hmm.
So you're paying them for them to make a profit.
Correct.
I'm like, how does that work? So
You know what's missing is the love of the game. Like that's the thing that attracted me to you. 'Cause I knew about AQST before you through my KMPH days. But when I saw you, I was like, oh, there's other people talking about this, but this dude has a love for the game. It's not just trying to make a quick flip.
yep,
You talked about your personal connection to it. And quite frankly, man, with this new administration, like interest rates going to be lower. There's so many tickers you're going to make money from if you want to.
yeah,
You don't have infinite money to invest in all of them. You
right,
pick a few, I pick some. I have some different from you, but it's the love of the game. Like if you're to be at night till midnight studying this stuff, you gotta love it. You know, and
yep,
I was studying this, writing these substacks. I'm like, sometimes it's tough. I want to go to sleep. I'm reading. I'm like, this is helping not only my portfolio, it's helping my career. I'm in this industry.
yep,
You know, like bracketing, understanding bracketing, area under the curve, understanding this new stuff, ANC that we're gonna get into. It's helping the career. You need to find people who are like that, and you need to start developing that passion yourself. I'm telling you, with these learn language model, I know they hallucinate and stuff, but if you know how to prompt them properly, they're a
yeah,
tremendous asset. You don't need to pay for
yeah,
any influencer. If you have these
right,
Gemini and Glock and Claude, you don't need it.
yep. So I mean, for new investors, I introduced this to my followers, the investment community, um, February 2024, and and I said it at the very beginning that this company is very personal to me because I have a personal connection to what happened to my sister who passed away 33 years ago of an anaphylactic shock. And so looking at their technology and realizing the potential for what it could do beyond making money from investing in a company, I I saw right away that this could potentially change the world in the way that severe allergies and with anaphylaxis are treated. And the company with the product called Anafilm has an opportunity to address the biggest concern. The biggest problem is not even close. Unlike other diseases, the the act of carrying the drug is the biggest problem. It is. So getting the patients to carry the drug is as important as the drug itself. You don't have that very often. And I've worked with drugs for years and years, 18 years. And it's very unique. Okay. So yeah. Now, so the problem is, so we have the manual injection of epinephrine. So we have that for years. Okay. And then other companies came up with less painful injection, EpiPen, the tiny needle. So it's still painful, but it's sharp stick. But it still has this bulky devices that you have to learn how to use and administer correctly. But many times at a moment of rush and panic, even healthcare providers get freaked out in the emergency room and they would inject it incorrectly. That happens all the time. Imagine that with a common person or a young kid trying to inject themselves. But that we're getting ahead of ourselves because the biggest problem is before that. The active decision to carry the devices. RVQ, EpiPen, generic EpiPen. People don't carry the devices. How is Anafilm different? Because it is as small and thin like a postage stamp. It fits. It could actually be fitted on the back of the phone, and it could be carried anywhere with a patient, either in a wallet or in a purse.
Purse,
But once you
yeah,
make the
credit card
active
thin.
decision to put it on the back of the phone, everything else becomes
Yeah,
passive after that. Because you don't have to, with Neffy, EpiPen, or whatever, every morning when you wake up, you have to decide, am I going to carry it with me? And then when they get to their destination, wherever it might be, it could be their work or whatever. What if they go to a lunch break or meeting a friend somewhere, having a meeting somewhere? They also at that moment have to make another active decision to carry that device with them.
happens all the time. You go to work. Hey, let's go eat. Let's take your car. Oh, my things. Okay, I'll go. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'm gonna
And
avoid allergies.
so what happens is that even though there are innovations within the devices itself, that it gets better, the needles get smaller, but the problem is the device. It is still a device. Anafilm, the product that Aquestive makes, is not a device. Okay, it's the first oral, the first device-free epinephrine treatment.
And
This
biotech
is kind of
from, if I can, the reason why the FDA, this is important for people to understand. Adcoms, they're not mandatory, but they're usually used for one of three reasons. And one of them, and I believe the reason why the FDA told Aquestive be prepared for an adcom early in the communications, was because of the novelty of it, because it's not a device, so it's the first time this is being used. The fact that they had tentatively planned, even though it's not scheduled, but planned, be ready for an adcom, and then they said, no, you actually don't need one. We waived it. On a
yeah,
novelty product, almost never occur. Very rare. I think
right.
it's important
Yeah,
to bring up.
yeah, and that's exactly what happened to the nose spray, the nasal spray called Neffy, because it is a new and novel device, or a novel setup delivery method of delivery. The FDA wants to kind of be off the hook by requiring an advisory committee to get opinions from key opinion leaders in the community. Hey, should we approve or should we not approve this product?
Yeah.
And
And
they,
the part that's crazy that's going to come up in this number 6, it's public. The FDA wants to
yeah,
remove some liability and say, listen, we approved it. We had an adcom. You guys said, yeah, you know,
yep.
you
So
guys are publicly also on this.
yeah, and so it is funny how shorts would twist everything. I guarantee you, the moment that the FDA says an advisory committee is no longer needed for a freaking
Yeah.
new route of administration, those are the exact words of the FDA. Hey, we probably will be asking you to go through an advisory committee because of the new route of administration.
Yeah.
And then they, after reading through all of the material presented by the company with the NDA application, they came back with some questions to the company, and the company presented all the data to them. And then they came back and said, oh, you know what? We no longer need that advisory committee meeting. Okay.
You
This is the biggest, green light that you get.
Well, then
Okay.
the shorts took that and twisted it and said, yeah, they know that they're not going to approve it. That's why they
Yeah.
don't want to waste time.
Right.
But if you look at
Right.
the data, there's no way they met everything that the FDA said they need to meet
Yes.
perfectly.
So, first of all, unless you have questionable data, a really bad here and there outliers, some really high safety signals, and things like that. Anafilm had none of that. All right, none of that. And guess what? One of the biggest trials is actually designed with the FDA. They they gave the idea. The company also pitched in the idea. They worked together, and Anafilm performed, really beautifully. Okay, so the item number one is PDUFA. That is January 31st. It's actually on a Saturday. So I am anticipating um, a decision prior to that. So it's going to be that week, could be that Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Okay, because it's on a Saturday. It could be on that Friday. All right. I have a feeling that we should get decision that Monday or Tuesday. All right. So, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be approved. Now, previously, Dan and I, we said, hey, this is a binary event, and it is a binary event. It is either yes or no, and the stock price is going to move pretty drastically one way or the other. However, there's some nuances that you all need to understand. All right. And if you look at what happened to ARS or SPRI, the ticker, what happened to the stock when it got a CRL, a complete response letter, it dropped 57%. Okay. Um, but if investor were smart, they would have made tremendous amount of money, because in every CRL, the FDA laid out questions and concern, and they will always ask the company to do certain things. So when you read those things, you have to go, oh my gosh, that's all they have to do? Then you would not have sold, or you would have averaged down. Okay, unless the FDA has some serious concern and has demand that's getting kind of hard to accomplish for the company, you would not sell. You would average down, or you just stay still. And that's exactly what happened. 120 days later. All right. So the day before the day before the CRL, the share price was 660. After the CRL, it went down to 390. 120 days later, after
Yeah.
the CRL, the share price went up to 670.
So if
Uh,
you, Joseph, sorry, biotech, it's so hard not to call you by your name, uh, by the way, but Joseph says Spry had cash to resubmit. There's a tangent. The dude who is the founder of Spry ARS, okay, he used his own company as the CRO, and he disclosed it to shareholder. They have to disclose it, but most shareholder don't even know what the fuck a CRO is, so they're like, okay, whatever. It's better that it's under our control, right? That's the logic. He had every incentive to not listen to the FDA at the AdCom. Okay, and then, oh well, let's take our chances. If not, we just shareholder money. We're gonna go through our CRO. What's another 6 to 9 months of billable activity? It's like 3 million some odd dollars in his pockets. So Yeah, they had cash to resubmit. It's their shareholders' cash, by the way.
So it doesn't really matter. The company will submit in whatever ways,
Hmm.
but as of right now, they have cash all the way through 2027. If they get COL, they use that cash to resubmit. And you have to
Yeah.
remember, these trials are tiny, they're quick, they're fast, they're cheap. They're not that expensive. All right. So these are not diabetic trial or obesity trials. Okay. These are healthy volunteers. They need about 20 or 30 patients or volunteers, and they get it done.
And it's
Okay.
cheap with the spray. They told them second dose. So AQST already did that. With AQST, if they say, hey, for the outliers, we need another set
Yeah.
of tests. I mean, I think that's 15% probability of what I wrote about, but I don't
Yeah.
think we're gonna have to worry about that.
I'm telling you, my number is 99% because
99 is crazy.
because what else could they do?
Okay,
You
what if
know?
Vinay Prasad was in charge of Cedar? What would
Yeah.
it be? It would be 80, 85.
So yeah. So anyway, so we have January 31st to look forward to. Now, I tweeted this week. I learned my mistake from selling ARQTs too soon after approval because you in a situation like AQST, they have a product that is preferred by physicians and patients and caregivers before it is approved. Okay, so my 18 years in the pharmaceutical industry, this is unbelievable. Imagine a drug company doing a survey to physicians, and over 90% of them saying, when your product gets on the market, I'm going to be prescribing that over your competitor. That is exactly what happened. The
Yeah.
company did surveys on the patients and physicians, and that's what they found out. This is unbelievable. Okay.
Quick shout out. We have Iova fam dipping their toe in the AQST waters. Thank you, Trumpo Jong Un. He was busy in Venezuela, taking care of business. Missed the 580s and later bought 3,000 share. Congrats. And that's Iova
Yeah.
fam dipping their toes into the water. Welcome. The water's warm here, Trumpo
Yeah.
Jong Un.
And so what happened? So why am I staying long with AQST? It's because every earnings call, it's gonna be a party every time because you're gonna see the sales goes this way, up and to the right. All right, because and again,
All right, hold on, hold on. Okay, so let me ask you. 'Cause I'm asking you for myself. I have conviction too, but I've other than crypto, I've never had this much money in any one thing besides real estate and crypto. So to me, this is the school of thought. And Vivi was on with us. Remember, she said,
yeah,
"Ride it up to the PDUFA, take some off, be conservative. At PDUFA, take half of your profits if you still have conviction." Is that no longer? And I know we're not even at number 6 yet, because number 6 changes things for me too.
yep,
Is that where you're doing with this, or are you saying, "Hey, this is something to hold through
yeah.
beyond PDUFA"?
Well, yeah. Um, Again, my lesson from ARQT, their
Yes.
product, Zarif. I mean, sales were stagnant at first, and then the share price stayed the same. But then once physicians start seeing results, bam, and
How long
so
did that take? How long in that example? How long did that take?
about 12 months. It went from 930 to $31 in about 12 months after approval.
But during that 12 months, it was like a boring stock, right? Like,
Yes. Yes, and you
That's
know
the
what?
part people don't like. They don't like that boring.
Yeah, but the thing is, and that's why you don't go in 100%. So
Um,
you always have, cash on the side to do other things. Okay,
mhm,
and
mhm.
but here's the thing. Okay, are you in it to gamble? Or are you in it to make money? For me, okay, for me, anytime I jump into a new ticker, that's a new risk for me. All right. When I know everything about this company and all the risk has been removed, and all they have to do is to sell this amazing product, why would I risk? Why would I bring more risk to myself?
Especially with Sherry at the helm. Whew.
Yes.
Like
So,
they had no business really having her without an approved product other than the preparatory work. They're investing
they,
in
I,
what's about to happen.
yeah, for those who don't know, Sherry Kozinski is the chief commercial officer. And she, prior to coming to Aquestive, I'm not sure how in the world they got her, but she worked for Mylan, who sold EpiPen and made it a household name. It's like we don't call soft drink, we call it Coke. All right,
Yeah.
it's kind of, that kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
so
You don't call it a copy, you call it a Xerox. I'm going the
yeah,
Xerox machine.
exactly. So she is in charge of launching NFL. So she now has a better product. Imagine that to launch in, and
You
so
think Barber got her over there or
I'm
knowing
not
what you
sure how
know?
she got there. I mean, she actually I need to message her and ask her, hey, how did
Yeah.
you come over? She does respond to me.
She's been
Uh,
ghosting me.
but yeah, so after, let's say it got approved, all right. Somebody said, oh, the shorts could attack. Oh, yeah, they can if they wanted to. But here's my thing is they're risking themselves too, because after approval, then you have partnerships or buyout announcements. And then you have ex-US approval, Canada, EU, UK, Australia. So each one of those is a PR. All right. So what do you think happens to the share price when those are announced? All right. And then before you know it, um, it's Q1 earning, which we'll start seeing some NFM sales, because they said that actually, uh, yeah, only 1 month, because they launch in March. They're planning to launch in March. So you have 1 month, okay? March 1st to March 31st. But Q2 is going to be very fun.
Mhm.
Q3, Q4. And this is why I said that in 2026, we're going to see the share price at least getting to $15 at
So
minimum.
compare the and then thank you commenter. Sherry was briefly at ARS Pharma too. So she probably recruited herself. Or they found her when she joined. I don't know. Who knows? We gotta get her on the show. I've been trying.
Well,
She replied once.
just like me, when she found out there's a freaking film, she jumped
Yeah,
ship.
yeah. Sherry, I think when the PDUFA's over, we'll get you on. Come on, you got to. I know she replied to me, and then I think she watched some of the videos, and she, oh no, I gotta stay away from this.
Sherry, by the way, recently got married, remarried.
Congrats, congrats,
But
Sherry.
yeah, she's very happy.
She's
But
married
anyway,
to the game. She's married to the game. Oh, I
so
was
so
gonna ask you
after
that group, the ARQT, your mistake, the one you learned from. What was it? AR
Acutis
Arcutis.
Therapeutics, they
Was
make drugs for atopic dermatitis, psoriasis. They're
okay.
actually working on AA drug, alopecia areata as well.
Okay.
Uh,
But
but
was their team at that time of PDUFA as good as AQST's team right now?
very solid.
Okay.
The management, the CEO is incredible.
Okay.
I have high respect for that team. Similarly, it's really funny because they manage their money Very similarly, it's Ernie Toth is CFO for AQST. He does a wonderful job of managing the finances of AQST. And that's another thing that gives me so much confidence that why would I leave? Why would I sell my shares after Produfa, knowing that's gonna be raking in so much cash? And we can get to that in a minute. But so
Okay.
investing in AQST is no longer just a binary event because there are so many other things, including AQST 108, in bringing to trial as well for alopecia areata. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so it's to me, shorts will be um, taking more risk. So after that, we have potential buyout, pediatric indications coming, ex-US approval, and then number 6. All right. So I tweeted this out last night, and on December 17th,
Wait, hold on.
okay.
Biotech. Uh, do you have people are gonna want to know from the number 3, 4, 5? Like, do you have any rumor? I see you're wearing a jacket. Okay. Uh, do you want to have comments on those? I want to get to 6 too, but like let's get these people excited a little bit.
Well, um,
I know you've been talking about it. AstraZeneca would be a good fit. Viatris would be a good fit.
the AQST is very unique because they have a drug manufacturing business. They also have 6 drugs they have out licensed and are making money from. Um, and then they also have a pipeline. They also have a current product that will be promoted starting January 2027. And then the pipeline is AQST 108 for alopecia areata, and then NFL. So it is a little bit complicated because if the big pharma company has no interest in the manufacturing side, or no interest in Libervant, or no interest in alopecia areata, then they won't. This is why my number one buyout company for Aquestive would be Viatris. Viatris, as you know, now so Mylan became Viatris. So they have been selling EpiPen all these years, and now they're getting their ass kicked, and they will get their ass kicked. So I'm not sure if the SEC would allow them to buy Aquestive, to be honest, because but if but Viatris is a perfect company for Aquestive because they have drugs in different classes, different diseases. They have neurology, dermatology, allergies, and things like that. So just a perfect fit. Okay. AstraZeneca would work as well because they have an immunology department and biologics. So they have a huge footprint in allergy allergy offices with their asthma products, Breztri, and their main rescue drug that's recently launched. So they could easily buy Aquestive for cheap. I mean, for pennies. So now Dan Barber, he's very conservative. He doesn't just mention stuff. All right. And everything that he mentioned came to be. For example, he said there have already written proposals for financing of the company, finances of the launch. He said that. And then guess what? A day or two later, PR came out. All right. he also said that he had received phone calls on NFL, and then the analyst asked him, were those phone calls on NFL by itself or on the company or partnership, meaning on like buying or partnering? He goes, it's the whole spectrum, meaning he had phone calls of offer to buy the company, to partner with the company, or to buy NFL as an asset, a standalone asset. So there have already been interest. This was before the Oasis data came out. And this is before the NDA acceptance. This is before. So imagine.
Before the AdCom waiver.
Yeah, imagine the phone calls that he's receiving now. Okay. And he also said that he wants to partner with a large company, a company that has large footprints.
He
Okay.
said I know you mentioned this before on our show, but he's actually said like almost verbatim that like he's looking for a big pharma that to him like NFM's like his baby in a way.
Yes, and he verbatimly said that we want
Okay.
a company that has a large footprint.
Because
Okay.
Barber's like a career. He's been with AQST for like almost 20 years or something.
Yes, he kind of grew up, with the company.
Yeah.
And he's done a fantastic job. I couldn't imagine anyone else doing this job than him, to be honest. So management for Aquestive is amazing. We have an amazing CEO, just an absolute winner in Arnie Toth, the CFO. And then, of course, just an amazing experienced person to launch an epinephrine drug in Sherry Krasinski. They're going to do an amazing job. So yes, so after PDUFA, there's so many catalysts after that. Okay, so it's selling news. Yeah, go ahead and sell. I'm staying. Do whatever.
Harry says real quick. No. I mean, I think I will sell some after PDUFA, but the majority I will keep after, especially after number 6, which we're gonna get to. But Harry says, would AQST raise money soon after approval?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you right now, if you are an AQST investor, or you're thinking about investing in AQST, do your own research. But one thing you don't have to worry about is another offering, because they have everything lined up through 2027. If you don't believe me, go listen to the call again. All right. The CFO said we have enough through 2027. Guarantee you by then they have so much cash, because they're going to be selling so much at NFL.
They got the RTW contingency. Harry, the better question would be, would AQST raise money after CRL? Because I think that's the actual bear case in the situation.
But they are so confident. I actually did not like the RTW deal. I would have just preferred
You didn't
them.
like it?
No, because the deal was like $4 per share.
I thought it was 7.
But the deal was $4. But the share price was
okay.
I didn't like that deal. All right. So, but they wanted to be kind of non-dilutive aspect of it. So I understand that, but that's one thing that I don't agree with. I feel like it is wearing the value. I mean, they got it for cheap. I'm angry about that.
Why do you think they did that deal?
Well, it happens a lot. It happens because, number one, the CEO would have no way of knowing. Dan would have no way of knowing the share price is going to go over 7. He didn't know that. So these deals, I guarantee you, were written and negotiated way before that run up. The same
they probably
thing
didn't foresee Jim Cramer and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they get that pop from Cramer.
Right, it came before all of that. So I mean, I'm mad, but I understand the business. Okay. But that's fine. But we don't have to worry about anything until after 27. But if Aquestive still needs cash after 2027, we have a huge problem. All right. Because I guarantee you, all right, I guarantee you they're gonna generate so much revenue with NFL. It's not even funny. All right. So here's the fun part. We're gonna move to number 6. And
Yes, the favorite.
why we will never need cash again, but we're gonna have so much cash. So the FDA is contemplating and talking to sponsors. That means they are talking to Aquestive. A sponsors are pharmaceutical companies, all right? Of the possibility of making all epinephrine treatments as over the counter without requiring a patient going to the doctor and to get a prescription. That is the second biggest barrier besides the needle. All right. People are just too lazy to go to a doctor's office. Sometimes they don't have insurance. I only have struggle with allergy, don't have anything else, kind of thing. So the allergy community is actually in agreement with the FDA. So they had a huge meeting that Dan has talked about at Duke University, talking about the possibility of making it over the counter. And then one of the concerns that they have is that by making epinephrine over the counter, it may do harm to the patient. What if they take Anaphylm or Neffy or EpiPen and they don't have an anaphylactic shock? Okay, what's going to happen to them? I answered this question on Twitter, on X. All right, we actually have evidence. Did you know that all of the volunteers in the Neffy trial, all the volunteers in Anaphylm trial, all the volunteers in EpiPen trials, before those drugs got approved, none of those patients had an anaphylactic shock. And they were okay. They were okay. Okay? Now, let me take you one step further. In the OASIS trial, they were randomized. One group were exposed to an allergen. They're allergic to the fruit. One group just take it, right? No allergen. So one was exposed to it, but both received, right? Both received Anaphylm. Mm-hmm. So they could measure the PK value, the pharmacokinetic, the concentration of epinephrine in the blood. So my question is, how did those patients who did not get exposed to an allergen do with Anaphylm? Did any of them go to the hospital? No. On the group that were exposed to the allergen, none of them had an anaphylactic shock. And guess what happened to them? They did great too. But Anaphylm offers something that is unique. What they found out was the group that was not exposed to the allergen, the concentration of epinephrine is actually lower than the group that were exposed to the allergen. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that the most ideal drug profile that you can get?
And all the self-administration, same thing. Lower PQ.
Yes. So when a person accidentally takes Anaphylm and didn't have an allergy, the body absorbs less of the drug than the person who has an allergic reaction. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is, well, in that group, I wish I could have been on the panel so I could tell them. All right, they all had the evidence. They don't have to think about, what if somebody didn't have an allergy and took it by accident? Are they going to be harmed? You have all this evidence
Yeah.
because all of these volunteers are healthy volunteers.
It shows like 373 picogram per milliliter. You know what's crazy about that Duke Margolis meeting with the FDA? So that was pre-scheduled way in advance. But if people read between the lines, I'm always advocating people read books, especially with Marty McAree's book Blind Spots. He wrote this before he was even dreamed of being FDA head. The first chapter, do you guys know what it's about? Peanut allergies. The first chapter
That's
in his book
amazing.
is about peanut allergies, and he thinks the medical establishment is responsible for the amount of peanut allergies we have. He goes into a rant in the book as to why. Here is his opportunity as head of FDA, one of the first PDUFA. There's been a lot of PDUFA, but he's new
Yep.
to get approved. Is gonna be talking is a directly to fight against what the
So
establishment created by holding peanuts from kids. The medical advice used to be don't expose your kids to peanuts until they're in high school. So then you had all these kids growing up getting peanut allergy. My niece has a severe peanut. I told her as soon as this thing comes out, I'm gonna get you one. An Anafilm. That
that's that is
that's the
awesome
first
because
chapter one.
that is so. I didn't know that, Dan. That's awesome because now he actually has some kind of connection to this PDUFA. Uh,
Chapter one. You don't
that is
put
crazy, dude.
you put your first thing in chapter one, the one you're most passionate about, the one with the most
Yeah.
evidence. And you
So
know what's crazy in that meeting? Okay, because I talked about this before, like how we had I didn't even know this meeting. Halfway through, I started transcribing it with my AI, and then I ran the data through. Key opinion leaders at this FDA Duke thing, 8 hour thing. One of them said there may be some devices that are better suited for adolescent college who are willing to open their mouth, take a sublingual pill. Key opinion leader Dr. Tim Gibbons, Dr. Matt Lehert emphasized the biggest barrier to safety isn't availability but hesitation to inject. And they talked about the airline market opportunity. What do airlines worry about? Somebody, they serve peanuts, somebody breathes it. Current emergency kit lack easy to use epinephrine. Christopher Warren in this meeting noted that airline travel is anxiety provoking and that data on in-flight reactions is poor but significant. Sublingual film is compact, temperature stable, easy to use. Neffy's already getting regulatory pathway into emergency kits. And so this Macaree's responsible for this happening. You think they're gonna a month later? This was December 16th. A month later, give a CRL for the best epinephrine product ever invented? To me,
I
that's all I needed to see.
yeah. And so what happened, Dan, is now the FDA is trying to, and one of the potential solution that they come up with, it is called the additional consideration for non-prescription use. Okay, so it's but again, the biggest concern is if it's going to hurt, it's going to harm. But in that in that article, it talked about it's better if you have any doubt. Okay, for those who are listening and have parents and have kids with allergy, listen to this. If you have any doubt at all, you tell your kids this, that you may be having an anaphylaxis, you take the drug. Dan just said the biggest problem is hesitation. Time is of the essence. Take it. I'm telling you, okay? It's not going to hurt you as bad as if you wait for it to be too late. Do not hesitate. Because just like I told you, in clinical trials, patients who were completely healthy, it's got no allergy, were given NFL, they were fine. Okay? Now, what can you anticipate? Well, maybe a headache, nausea, maybe some vomiting. But guess what? It's that means epinephrine is working. Okay, your blood pressure is increased, heart rate increased. That's big. It's like people taking GLP-1 and complaining about nausea. If you know how it works, you wouldn't be complaining about nausea in GLP-1. Okay, if nausea is such a big problem, why is it a $30 billion market right now in sales? Okay, so you think people worrying about vomiting in epinephrine? Hell no.
If you know, I don't have allergies, thank God. But my niece has severe peanut allergy. Like she comes over, you can't have
Crazy
peanuts
man.
anywhere around her.
It's
She gets
scary.
nervous. She gets nervous. Like I don't think she'll care if she got exposed that she's gonna vomit. She's worried that she's not gonna breathe. That's what she's worried.
But the thing that shorts want to spread misinformation is this: vomiting. They're saying that you take it, you vomit the medicine out. Okay, let me clarify that with you.
They're
All right.
foolish.
After the patient takes the drug, they would not be vomiting unless the drugs are already working. The signs of vomiting is when the side effect of the drug is working. All right. Now, there is another type of vomiting that sometimes they have an allergic reaction so severe they would vomit, but they don't constantly vomit. You wait until the vomiting, they get everything out, then you take the medication. Within seconds,
Yeah, yeah.
it gets into the bloodstream right away. Okay.
Either one is proof the drug worked. Like the second vomiting, when I was researching if it's true, the most people with a severe anaphylaxis shock, vomiting is part of the process. But the NFL, the pro drug, some of it leaks into the stomach. The reason the kids, three of the kids in the study vomited, which is 9%. But it's because of some of the pro drug component get into their stomach. Their stomachs are smaller, but that's still proof that the drug's working. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
seconds, dissolve
So,
within seconds.
so, so what they want investors that don't know is the patient is vomiting out the medication. No, the medication is already in the system. It makes the patient, some patients who couldn't tolerate vomit out. Okay.
The shorts are
Uh,
sneaky. They know
but, but,
most people take pills, and the way drugs, the paradigm is it goes in your stomach and then it's spread. This is
yeah,
different. Just because you put it in the mouth, all right. Even the person on the FDA thing on the with Duke said it's a pill, sublingual pill. They mistake. It's a film.
it
Instantly, it
instantly,
starts to dissolve.
yeah,
So
and
the shorts are using what you already know.
yeah.
Okay, a pill. If I swallow a pill and I vomit right away, it means it didn't work. Oh, now I'm nervous. This is not doesn't work like that. It instantly starts to dissolve with your saliva in the blood.
You know, I launched Ozempic, okay, with Novo Nordisk.
Ah,
And at first, patients were complaining about nausea and vomiting. And then doctors didn't know how to respond to them. And finally, they go, because the drug is working. You know,
exactly. Wait,
it's,
you worked at Novo? Oh, well, you gotta give me a jacket, man. I like that reindeer.
dude, I had so many stuff from all these companies I work with. But okay, so and then let's go deeper into number six.
Yes.
What does this mean? All right, to make epinephrine available as over the counter. All right, so
And
there
this just
are
came out yesterday. This just came out yesterday, by the way,
yes,
or a few days
there
ago.
are advantages and disadvantages. All right, so but here's the pros and cons. Let's let's do the normal route, the prescription route. The company has the right to set any price they wanted. All right. And typically it's pretty higher. It's higher. The margin is also higher, okay, than over the counter drug. All right. Um, but the disadvantage, well, and then the other thing is you have exclusive rights. Okay. Nobody could make that stuff that you have a patent to. But then the disadvantage is you have that 12, 12, 13 years worth of promotion, all right, at a higher price and a higher margin with a limited market, all right. Now, what happened when it's over the counter, all right, but the reason why the FDA is saying additional consideration for non-prescription use, you know why they use that term, Dan?
No.
To protect things like Neffy, that makes Neffy and NFL.
I
Because
see.
if you do straight up over the counter, that means anybody else can make another Neffy, a no spray device.
I see.
Somebody else can make the film and flood the market with.
It wouldn't be fair to the innovators who.
Yes,
But so this additional ANCU,
I see you.
from what I understand, it's new, right? Like the FDA is just experimenting with this idea.
It's just an idea. It's not even in
It's not
place.
even like official yet, right? It's
Right,
a
right.
potential.
Yes. So what are the advantages? Okay. The number one advantage is, well, the disadvantage. Let me get the disadvantage first. The price is going to be much lower than what the company is considering charging now. It's going to be much cheaper. The margin is going to be lower, but you trade margins for volume. All right.
Of course.
So, what business that you know of are one of the most successful business in the world right now? You have Walmart. You have, what is Walmart known for? Cheap, but they sell more, right? But and then it doesn't end there. When you go over the counter, the market now is much, much larger. Okay. Remember the 30 to 40 million lives, but only 4 to 5 million are filling the prescription. I guarantee you, there's like 30 to 35 million lives, patients, they just lazy to go to your doctor. But now, knowing this is available, they could just walk to CVS or Walgreens and buy it for themselves. They would. They would. So now you trade margins for volume. Okay. Another thing you're gonna get
That's
is
true.
indefinite revenue. Remember, you have the prescription on the prescription side, you have 12 years worth. All right. After that, your margin dropped and the price dropped tremendously. But since you go over the counter with your brand, you're gonna be having this large market and large volume of sales from now until the end of time. There is no patent cliffs. Okay. And another thing that you're going to get, since you're first to market and you become a household name, people will stick to your brand. How much money does Tylenol make every year? How much money does Advil make when there are generic acetaminophen and ibuprofen sold, but yet people are still buying Advil and Tylenol?
So I ran this through Gemini Deep Research, and it
Okay.
said the base case for AQ NFL, going the traditional route, the total addressable market 5 million prescriptions a year, in the U.S. is what it's saying.
Yep.
It's saying if the bull case, if it goes over the counter, you can expect 3 times that use case. So
Yeah.
15 million a year.
And best yet, there is no 12-year patent.
Right. Right.
And people with the rescue medication, you think they will switch to a generic version later on? Hell no. Why
Yeah.
would you? With a life and death situation, why would you switch to an unknown brand? Why would you? When the price is basically the same, right?
Hmm.
Maybe $1 or $2 difference, $5 difference, maybe. You,
Yeah.
so there's a term called the long tail. If NFM goes generic, it's gonna be it's way better than the prescription route. Trust me. All right. Um,
I have a couple paragraphs to read about this. So, to understand the magnitude of the ACNU pathway for Aquestive, one must dissect the regulatory architecture that enables it. The non-prescription drug product with an additional condition for non-prescription use, so ACNU rule, is not a minor administrative update. It is a paradigm shift in the FDA's approach to drug safety. For decades, the RX to OTC switch was a binary process. A drug was either safe for use based on the drug facts label, or it remained prescription only. This rigid stifled innovation for chronic and emergency use meds. The FDA attempted to address this with the non prescription safe use regulatory expansion initiative in 2012, but it lacked a finalized legal framework until now. The ACNU final rule, published December 23rd, 2024, breaks this deadlock. It allows for the approval of non prescription drugs if an additional condition, typically a digital interface or a technology enabled questionnaire, can mitigate the risks that labeling alone cannot address. So they're saying there's a technological gatekeeping. They allow the use of modern technological solutions such as an app or a pharmacy kiosk, or like you talked about in the case of AQST, going the direct to patient. Remember,
yep.
you brought it up. So this
Yep.
actually puts them, like AQST was, I don't know if they anticipated this, but they were going to do that anyways, of going direct to patient to compete with the pharmacy benefit managers. So
Yep.
that same digital infrastructure can actually put them in on track for this. Now it's delayed until March 21 of 2025, and then subsequently till May 27th, following a regulatory freeze pending review executive order. So, but it's coming this half of the year.
It and I've told you this. The FDA has been moving very quickly on these things, and now they actually announced this.
Hmm.
That means it's very close to coming to a conclusion. And I guarantee you, if you listen to Dr. McCary talking and Dr. Prasad, they talked about accessibility more than anything. All right.
Yeah.
And for a rescue medication for decades, nothing has changed. The death rate has not changed. The carry curve has not changed. Anafilm changes all that.
And allergies are going higher due to,
Higher. Yes.
we're not going to get into too much, but
Yep.
vaccine, people have their theories. Okay.
Yeah.
This Macary's chapter 1 in the book Blind Spots is about peanut allergies.
Yeah.
So
And
this is
so,
clearly a important thing to him.
yep. And that, so this is why I keep saying now that my thesis for Aquestive is to go long, because there's a lot of exciting stuff, and I guarantee
You're gonna
you,
make me break Vivi's rule, man. Sorry, Vivi.
I,
Biotech
I,
made me do it.
it's going to be, and imagine that, Dan, being on the earnings call every quarter and seeing that number just skyrocket, you know, and
Yeah.
and you don't, the cool thing is you don't even have to guess. You know why? Because the survey already told you so. The survey they surveyed 35 doctors, and 33 out of the 35 said they would prefer to choose the film over the nose spray. One says, I don't care. The other one, chooses the nose spray.
So what if this is just crazy theory? What if the reason nothing's really been announced is because Barbara's been talking to the FDA about this initiative and saying how could we become the pilot program for this? We already have the direct to patient
You know what,
technology.
Dan? I think that's what's going on.
You think
I,
that's I just coming up with
I
it out of my
no, I
ass,
thought
but
about it the other day. I think there's something to this. Okay, why do you think I tweeted that out on December 17th? I
I
thought
saw.
about this back then.
I
That,
remember when you tweet. I retweeted it from McCary,
yeah,
but I thought you tweeted it because you knew about the day before that conference. You didn't even know about it
well, that
about
you
the conference.
well, there was another tweet that I asked everybody to retweet. This is another.
Ah, okay, okay, my
Okay,
bad, my bad.
so but I thought about it. Then I'm like, I said, Aquestive has the ability to put everything else to sleep.
I mean,
If
they
they
get the
work,
branding. How do we refer to it? What is sold in 7-Eleven? Listerine strip, right?
yeah.
This is the Listerine strip for epinephrine.
Everybody
That's how I.
remembers Listerine, and there's a bunch
Yeah,
of different types of film, but
yeah,
we remember Listerine. So
yeah.
what I'm saying is that and Dan Barber already said that we
Wow.
are thinking other ways to make Anafilm, and Sherry did too, as successful as possible. And so,
What do you think that will be? Let's play fantasy stock. If they come out and you know how the next catalyst was supposed to be labeling. If they come out with that, but they say at the end of it, because of this positive labeling discussion with the FDA, they are willing to accept us into their pilot program for the AC and whatever this thing is. What does
yeah,
the stock do
uh,
at that?
yeah, if they get accepted to HCNU,
The first one,
the first
like
one,
the flagship.
and there is no need for any other one. Oh my lord! All right, that's all I could say. Okay, I, and think about this too.
That's what gets me excited.
If the global market, if EU, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all those countries follow suit and make it over the counter too for
Mm.
NFL. Yeah, this is the only ticker you need. And then, of course,
And that's when they get rewarded for having their manufacturing and their own. They control the entire pipeline of how they all they got to do is buy the raw ingredient, right? The active
yes.
pharmaceutical ingredient.
So there's another huge advantage with Aquestive versus ARS or Spry. Spry, they have to buy the device, the nose spray from another company. Aquestive only has to buy the active ingredient, the epinephrine, and then they turn that into the film. They make their own packaging. They make their own everything. Their margins is already higher than anybody else on the market. And now you put that on top of being first allowed to approve into this program. Oh my goodness. All I could say is don't be losing your shares every morning. Oh my God. Every
I know.
time in the morning, drop 4 or 5%. People losing their shares. And then it closed green by the end of the day, every day. Why are you losing your shares? You
There's a
know?
lot. Oh, can we get into that? Do you have time for the uh what is it? Shorts manipulator tactic?
Yeah. So that
Or do
so
you
that's
have to
number
run?
nine. That's the last
You have to
one.
run? You have to run, or you
Well,
still have some time?
we kind of talked about that, but I tweeted about this, Dan, that right now, as we're getting close, we move closer to PDUFA date, they are so desperate. They don't want a run up. The last thing that they want is the shares to start moving up. And then they are forced to decide, should I short more or should I start returning these damn shares? Right now, they're feeling comfortable. They're just shorting. But as new investors joining in and start investing in this awesome company, and the shares price start going up, now they start feeling the heat. But that's the last thing they want, so they start spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt on vomiting. Oh, it's unapprovable, whatever. Okay. Um,
What is that coefficient of variability? 91%, when most epi product are like in the 50s anyways, but like
eh,
that's a small price to pay for the compliance, and it's within
well, yeah,
safety ranges. No
yeah.
toxicity.
Listen, I'm 6-0 on PDUFA prediction for a
You're gonna
reason.
be 7.
Okay, for a reason. You know why? You know what the secret is? I only make safe bets. All right. I don't choose 50-50. I choose 90% or higher chance of approval. That's why my record is perfect. All right. That's my secret.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's not a bad secret to have. I think the 90, I agree with the 90. I'm at 85 because this administration's crazy and you never know. But what I'm 50-50 on is the being accepted into this new initiative over the
I
counter.
see in you. Yeah. It's gonna be.
To me, that's a coin flip. But
I I am telling you, Dan Barber and the FDA. Actually, Dan Barber has the opportunity to put Neffy and everything else in the market to sleep. If they're working with the FDA, lowering NFM's price, right, the really cheaply, but you
yeah,
make it up in
yeah,
volume, that's how you do this. You have the
yeah.
opportunity to change the world and kill your competition at
Well,
the same time.
that's capitalism. That's what
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
There's a poster on. He's a fan as well on Stock Twits that he wrote something interesting. I don't know about the shorts. If you want me to go through just some of it, I think it's important for this section. So, um, an astonishing 13 million shares were sold short between September 15th and December 15th for the AQST. Started at 8.8 million shares on 9/15 and went to 21.9 million by 12/15. On 9/15 we closed at 5/14 and were started the Kramer mentions. By the end of September, the short interest grew to 11.5 million, a 30% increase, which also coincided with the Kramer interview, which gave us a high of 643. It's extremely likely Kramer bought a ton of short sellers to the market, to the stock. Some funds are built purely on shorting Kramer plays. This is true. There's a large group of people that whatever he says, they go short. October saw short interest grow further to 12.2 million shares. We saw up to 751 on 10/15. And on from October 16th to the 31st, short interest grew to 14.7 million, a 20% increase. And then on October 16th, it topped its 52-week high at 755, then came down to 639. It's highly likely all of October's short interest was executed in the sevens or the high sixes. From November 1 to the 15th, short interest ballooned to 19 million, a 30% increase, likely after the earnings. That time range saw the share price 679 and as low as 521. Then from November 15th to the 30th, short interest went to 19.8 million. Now that brings us to December. 12/1 to 12/15 saw short interest jump to 21.9 million. This period saw us hit a high of 674. Basically, every time period we have highs in the north of 650, except for September. It's extremely likely 650 is where the entity are attacking the stock and working very hard to suppress it. Hence the difficulty we have to hold that level. Essentially, the short range has ballooned from 2 to 10, our short ratio. That's amount of days it takes to cover given the 30-day volume average. Now consider the fact with that much ammo being thrown at this so aggressively in such a short amount of time, we are still in the sixes. I bought in the 590 today, but this is with all basic selling, basic profit taking. During this time, our short ratio, which is the number of days it would take to cover using the 30-day average, blew up from 2.74 to 10.05. That is staggering. Any SR over 5, short ratio over 5, presents a squeeze Over 10, it's a much bigger squeeze. Approval of Anafilm will create an instant squeeze for such a massive amount of short interest. The question is, will whomever took it out hold through a PDUFA that has an 85% chance of approval? So that's the short intro, which I'm not good at that stuff,
Yeah.
but that's an expert on that. What do you think? Do you agree with that, or what?
I I'm not into those things either, but I know the basics of it. That
It's staggering, he
when
says.
you have a high short interest and you have a massive catalyst, somebody's gonna pay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go ahead. Like I said with Iovance too, go ahead, pile in, baby.
Yeah.
Pile in. All right. You want to challenge my 6-0 record? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I gotta admit, this was exciting enough as it is without the over-the-counter announcement at the last minute here, which kind of makes things spicier. I know the Bears are trying to make this, oh, it's gonna be hard, blah blah blah. I think this is just another option. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen instantly. Nothing with the FDA happens
What
that fast.
another thing is, Dan, with the over-the-counter partnership or approval, we don't have to have a sales force. You know how much money that will save the company?
Sorry, Sherry. We gotta
We
still
don't
have Sherry.
uh, we we don't need partnership. We don't need a buyout because why would
Yeah.
you sell a company? You have this billions of dollars
Right.
coming in, and the market is going to expand
Yeah, you just partner
massively.
with a distribution partner. Supposedly, according to this initiative or this rule, you need like some kind of survey or some kind of technology interface for the patient to understand like whatever risk. Like it won't be as simple as buying a Listerine strip, but it's like in a kiosk or something that they have to like fill out, or
Yeah,
even online. Even
yeah.
online, they can do it.
It's not going to be. I mean, you're going to have to ask somebody to get it for you. It's not going to be,
Mhm.
you can grab it yourself. It's going to be behind the counter. Okay. So somebody has to open the drawer, whatever, to get it for you.
Then they'll
Okay.
give them like a quick tablet and hey, sign here and that,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe watching download the app, watch a video, some
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
how much more? I mean, once word gets out, you have allergy, like food allergies or any allergy, like just go order it here or go at the local 7-Eleven and get it.
Well,
So
yeah.
many people will do it.
The most exciting thing about me about this is, which is kind of my dream, is that since people could carry it on their phone with them on the back of the phone, that when there's enough people that carry around, somebody always have something with them to help somebody out.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
when this comes up with over the counter, that's gonna be my dream that came into reality
yeah,
because somebody's gonna have it on their phone, you
yeah.
know. And so
It
it's
will
kind
take.
of
I
like,
think it will take like a minute to figure out that's an allergy, right? Because when you just see someone passing out, like you're like, oh, we don't know what's going on. But then somebody near them said, no, they have a food allergy. Or then you grab your phone.
well, another thing is the person that carries NFM with them would recognize an allergic reaction. You see what
Ah,
I'm saying?
yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
that's another
yeah,
thing too. Yeah. So that
that's true.
there's revenue for NFL would at least triple if it goes over the counter. I mean, and then you have to. That's just in the U.S. If the global market does the same, oh, it's gonna be
And we
amazing.
we don't even barely talked about 108.
Yeah.
The
So we
alopecia.
have 108 for alopecia areata, and then Libovant for seizures.
The reason I even own this stock is because of Libervan, and it comes at hour 119
Yeah.
2025.
So as investor, just stay calm
Mhm.
and trust in the science, trust your research, and whatever else you learn from here, use it if you want, but don't let these slimy shorts
Yeah.
steal your shares. You know, um, the future for this company is amazing. You know, amazing. So as before we close, so as Iovance, and that's coming mid January. But anyways, I, I'm very excited about what's to come for this company. I don't really care about what the share price does between now and PDUFA. It's gonna be kind of range bound.
I'm trying to buy as much as I can.
Uh,
If I see more days like today, I'm buying more.
yeah. So I think within several days here, this week, maybe next week, if the share price start going inching up, that's going to be fun for shorts.
Well, yeah, apparently there's like 2 orders of magnitude higher than normal short interest on this company.
Keep piling in, baby. Keep
Keep it
piling.
coming, baby.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
this is fun stuff. I mean, it's fun when you have the conviction and you see the end result. Like, I understand now more. Like 10 years ago, I didn't really understand what I was doing necessarily. It was more gambling. And this
yeah,
is still elements of gambling, but it's more probabilistic now. Like there you okay, what's the research saying? What's the precedence and what's the regulatory framework? I wasn't that level of sophistication 10 years ago, and I think it's because I actually enjoy what I'm
yeah,
doing. And
yep,
but like 10 years ago, I would have sold everything because these shorts scare me. Like,
yep,
whoa, vomiting.
yeah.
Okay, well,
There's there's in investing, there's nothing that calms you more than the knowledge that you have about a company. And so I know that's the luxury that a lot of people don't have. So they get
yeah,
scared easily. I am afforded with that luxury because of my experience and science background. But I know that most of you don't have that. And you read stuff that I write and then write and watching these videos.
yeah.
And you're welcome to use that to fight all the misinformation that's thrown at you.
Mm,
But all I can say is with this company, with NFL, science is on our side. NFL will
yes.
be approved. And I believe that the FDA is working with Aquestive to make NFL as available to many people as possible.
Oh, the FDA is absolutely doing that, whether with AQST or not.
Thank you,
Is
Alan.
said thank you, Alan. 50-50. And you know what's crazy is we'll wrap up the fact that you brought up Iowa, which I hold. I also hold ATAI.
Yep.
What I learned from AQST, like area under the curve, PK, what's the bracketing, all these things. None of that really applies the technical aspect to Iowa. Like you're gonna almost see if you study an Iowa trial, it's a different language from this one.
Yep.
But the concepts are similar and the manipulation that the psychology.
The mental aspects is the same.
Yes,
It's the same
yes,
every
yes,
stop. Okay.
yes.
And this is why
But it's almost
I,
like a new language, but then when you understand the language, you can understand the meta concept, right?
yep. It's kind of like in football, defense travel.
Uh,
You have that
yeah,
base knowledge. You take that with you and you use that analytical skills that you have. It travels with you. It doesn't matter what
right,
tinker. I
right,
use that to analyze the rocket lab. I
right.
use the same technique. But yeah, it's going to be fun for the next 20 days.
Some people are nervous, but I'm texting them back. Don't be nervous, buy more. And then
Yep.
they laugh because
Yeah.
they think it's gambling. And
Yep.
if I'm wrong, okay, I'll buy more on the CRL. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I would buy more depending on what the situation is. And if not, I'm happy to lose my money and learn something in the process. But I
Yeah.
don't think that's happening. I
I,
don't think.
I think we may get a PR from the company saying they have been talking with the FDA on labeling and the possibility of,
Direct to consumer.
extending the pilot program of the AC NU program. And then now, how many millions shares of shorts? 21. Bring it.
Yeah.
You got to return all of those shares, baby.
This rabbit hole gets deep because if you look at who's Macquarie's boss, RFK. Who's RFK boss? Trump. What did Trump say? Pharmacy benefit managers are ruining this whole
Through
thing.
them. Yep.
What's AQST doing? Bypassing PBMs to go directly to
To the page.
patient before this OTC stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Something big is about to happen.
Yep. I'm very
Wow.
excited.
Wow.
Yep.
We
But
don't
thank
have enough
you
shares,
all.
like you say. We don't
Yep.
have
We
enough.
don't have enough shares. But thank you all
Yes.
for watching, and hopefully we all learned something.
Shout out
Feel
to you,
free,
Alan Kesting-Leon.
feel free to shoot any questions you have, and either way, CRL or approval, Dan and I have committed, right, Dan, to have a live broadcast right after the
Yeah.
announcement.
I hope
So,
I'm in town. Even if I'm not, I might jump on a mobile phone and be like, look, I told you fuckers.
yeah.
Or if it's wrong, hey guys, send me some Zoloft. Uh, I might get some Thai intranasal DMT to help me out here.
Yeah.
We gotta do it. We gotta do
Yeah.
like maybe a marathon live stream that day, and it would be cool to invite viewers to come on with a link. Like, hey,
Okay.
how much did you make? You'll see people like ecstatic. This is
That'll be
life
fun.
changing.
Yep.
Or if it's depression, not so many. But
Yeah.
okay, we'll do it. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Everybody go follow Biotech Scanner right
Bye bye,
now.
y'all. Take
Bye
care.
bye.